Welcome to Mastering Your Financial Life, hosted by Judy Heft, the founder and CEO of Judith Heft and Associates, Financial and Lifestyle Concierge. This year, they're celebrating 26 years in business. In every episode, Judy interviews professionals who help others successfully manage their financial lives. You can find this show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. Judy is the author of 2 books, How to Be Smart, Successful, and Organized with Your Money for a Better Today and Tomorrow, and her latest book, Mastering Your Financial Life Cycles, How to Successfully Manage Money in Every Decade of Life. You can read chapters of her books and catch prior episodes of this show at www.judithheft.com. Now here's the host of Mastering Your Financial Life, Judy Heft.
Hey there, everybody. Hi, Jeff. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you as my 15th guest.
That's amazing.
Jeff Weiner is the founder and CEO of HKM Associates. His motto is, and he says this at all the networking groups, and everybody remembers him by it, so I love it. We do memorize and CAT scans on insurance policies. And Jeff is extremely knowledgeable about employee benefits and life insurance as well as health insurance. He's also a wonderful connector and networker, and he's someone that you need to know. So welcome, Jeff. Thanks for coming.
Very much. I appreciate it.
So did I leave anything out in the introduction that you want to mention?
No, it was pretty good.
LinkedIn helps.
All right.
So tell us, what makes HKM Associates different than other insurance agencies, brokers?
So HKM Associates is my own firm. I'm in business now. March was 41 years. So right off the bat, I think that kind of makes us different because people aren't usually sticking around that many years. And we're not planning on retiring anytime soon. But our whole approach to benefits is a lot different than the typical broker. So what we do, we sit down with a group, and that group can be anything from international tech startups, small group, multi-state, to hundreds of employees. We work with businesses, and the place we always start with is benefits, and a lot of brokers don't want to deal with small groups. A lot of brokers aren't licensed. We're licensed now in 35 states, so we can write business pretty much anywhere in the country. And, what we do, we sit down with a group, we take a look at their bill and benefits. Then we shop around to see if there's something better or less expensive than what they're currently doing. If we're switching carriers from, let's say, Oxford to Aetna, Blue Cross, whoever, then we get a list of their doctors and their employees' doctors, and we do doctor searches on all the doctors. This way, nobody has to switch doctors, even if they're switching carriers.
Well, that's really helpful because so explain that to me in a little more detail. So if somebody signs up with you, you have any doctor in their network?
Yes. No. So the way we work, you and I are obviously part of USA 500. So when I first started doing business in Massachusetts, well, Blue Cross of Massachusetts is the kind of the big, huge carrier in Massachusetts. So the first law firm I looked at, they had Blue Cross of Massachusetts. We showed them United Healthcare. United Healthcare, because United Healthcare is age banded and Blue Cross is not. It's a flat rate, single flat rate family, regardless of age. The United Healthcare plan was 30% less expensive for the same exact plan.
It's a big differential.
Right, correct. And so what we do is then we say, okay, we know we can save you a lot of money. All right, but we got to make sure. And I didn't know in Quincy, Massachusetts, is Blue Cross going to be, is United Healthcare going to be as good as Blue Cross, doctor-wise, hospital-wise? So then we get a list of the employees' doctors and the owners' doctors, and we do a search on all the doctors, and we make sure that, yes, indeed, they are in United Healthcare. So when we did that search on that first group, we came back to the partner. We said, okay, you gave me 24 doctors to look at. We are 24 for 24. So not one of your employees has to switch any doctors, and we're going to save you 30% on your premium.
That's great. That makes a big savings for the company. That's wonderful that you can do that. It's a lot of research that you have to do, researching all those doctors. That's
Yeah, but that's part of our service. The other
Mhm.
thing that we do that makes us unique is we run employee meetings for all our groups. And when I run the employee meetings, we tell the employees to pull out their cell phones and put my cell phone number on their speed dial. So we're available 24/7, not only to the owners of the company, but every employee of every one of my clients has my cell phone. So we service at a different kind of level. We take care of adding people on, taking people off, getting them ID cards like most brokers, but we deal with all their claims and the billing and the service and the grunt work. So the owners love it because the employees don't have to spend business time dealing with their personal issues, because we're available 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. 7 days a week. The employees like it because who wants to sit on the phone with the insurance company and fight with the insurance company all day? And the companies that have office managers or HR, they love it because we do all their work.
That's great. So is it your personal cell phone that they're getting, or your cell phone?
My cell phone.
So how many calls do you get at midnight? That's what I want to know.
Not many at midnight, but we've gotten at 9, 10 o'clock at night. We've got a lot of calls on Saturdays and Sundays. But most of the calls are kind of 5-minute calls to talk them off the edge. Like the one yesterday. I got a bill for $3,100. Emails me and said, "Is this bill right?" So I called him up. I said, "So what happened?" Well, I went into the emergency room, spent overnight in the emergency room, went home the next day. I said, "All right, well, then the bill's wrong." He's like, "Well, what do you mean? How do you know the bill's wrong? You haven't even called the insurance company." I said, "Very simple. You went in through the emergency room, which means you should have paid a copay of $250. The fact that they billed you for not only the emergency room, but they also pre-certified you using a regular room, which you didn't use. So therefore, they can't bill you for it being in two places at once."
It's great to have an advocate like you and Direct Dial. It really is helpful, because I think a lot of times somebody would get that and they'd try to be fighting with the insurance company. It would take them days, weeks, who knows how long, aggravation, stress, time off from work or personal time, whatever that is. So it's great that they can just make that one call to you and you knew right off the bat what it was, and you're very knowledgeable. So that's really helpful. So what other kinds of insurance do you handle?
We handle anything on the benefit side. So it's medical and dental and group life and LTD and vision and all of that. And then we bring in people who do 401ks and things like that. That's not an area that we really work on. But we really work with the businesses. And, there is no too big, too small. I mean, most of our clientele is what's considered small group, which is 2 to 100 employees. That's about 70% of our business. But we treat our 2, 3, 4 person group like they're a 2, 3, 400 person group. And the way we're able to service thousands of employees with a staff of 3 people is because I have a back office company called Benefit Mall. They're one of the largest general agencies in the country. So they give me the clout to negotiate best rates for large groups over 100, and the ability to service thousands of employees with everybody calling 3 people. I have a huge team at Benefit Mall that helps me service my clients.
Oh, that's great. That's a big
Clients call me.
And
when the employees call, it's usually an issue. It's usually something like that. And we kind of talk them off the edge. We calm them down. No, you don't have to pay this. No, that's not right. Or if it is, okay, well, here's the next step you need to do. So we just work with it. And if it's an easy, simple fix, my team takes care of it. And if it's more complicated, my team at Benefit Mall gets involved.
It's so important to have the right agent. On another note, something that happened to me this week, and it was about my workman's comp here I have in the office. I got an audit letter that said that I owed $5,000. So I sent it to my agent. He worked on it immediately. and there was a problem with the way my name was written. I had the insurance, but there was a problem. It was so good to just be able to turn that over to somebody else. Then I got another notice that said I had a $7,000 penalty, but also the same day in the mail that I opened it, fortunately, right after I got where the penalty was waived. So my agent was great. And I think that's something that you offer too. And, it's so important to have the right people on your team. We learn that here with our clients too. You got to be proactive and receptive, and you got to be available. That's just what it is.
And that's what it is. Like, we have this group in Massachusetts. So they were 15 people, and we were brought in by an outsourced CFO. And they had United Healthcare, so they had the right carrier for their industry, but they had Paychex Insurance Agency as their broker, so they weren't getting any service. So he said to me, Jeff, look, I know you service, so how about I'm going to introduce you to the owner. So he introduces me to the owner, and I explain how I work, and he goes, great, look, if he's telling me you're going to give us service, I trust him, we're going to make you broker. So they make me broker. And I take a look, and then I get the details of the plan, and I call him back within the next week or so, once we became broker. And I said to him, you do realize you're on the wrong plan, right? And he's like, what are you talking about? He goes, we're not switching from United Healthcare. And I said, no, that's not what I'm saying. You have a PPO $2,000 deductible plan. Why don't you have a $3,000 deductible PPO HSA plan? And he's like, well, I don't want the guys to spend more money with a deductible. I said, no, that's not what I'm saying. The rates are $1,400 less. So here's what you do. Go to the $3,000 deductible, give your guys $1,000 each. You still save money. You look like a hero to your employees. And because you now have a $3,000 deductible, the guys who are AI tech startup guys making good money can now set up their own HSA health savings account, and they can put in up to $7,500 pre-tax, and it rolls over every year because they don't have a pension plan yet.
That's so helpful.
So I ran the employee meeting, and I said to the guys, good news, we're staying with United Healthcare. Good news, no rate increase. The only thing we're changing is we're changing the deductible. It's from $2,000 to $3,000, but we're giving you $1,000 each. All these 20 and 30-year-olds heard was, you're giving me $1,000 for free.
Right.
None of them go to the doctor and the hospital, and they don't worry about deductible. And they're like, what could we use it for? And all these things. And then I told them about the HSA, and I said, oh, and by the way, because we're doing this, we're going to add in dental and vision to the plan at zero cost to you.
That's fantastic.
And they have a 0-day waiting period. Well, they were 15 people, and they were growing quickly. There are now 55 people. So they brought in a full-time HR person. So the HR person calls me, and she said to me, so from what I understand, because I can't believe that this is the way it works, I enroll them in payroll, and then I give them your cell phone number. And then you take care of getting them the highlight sheet of the benefits and enrolling them and getting them ID cards, and then deal with all the claims and the billing and the service. I said, yeah, absolutely correct. She's like, really? Yeah, because I've never had that at any of my other jobs. And so she loves us because she literally has to do nothing and they're, like I said, they're going to be 70 by the end of the year.
That's a great service you're providing for them.
And they have a 0-day waiting period. So literally the day they're hired, they call me and say, where's my card?
That's excellent. That's so helpful. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit here, because we know that you're really well versed on the insurance area. So you have your own networking group. I've been to it a couple of times. It's a lot of really good people. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I've been networking pretty much my whole career, because when I started in the business, I was 22. I had no rich relatives. I had no rich friends. So I had to network before it was really called networking, and I always loved to connect people to people. So I'm doing that. And then I went to various networking groups, some which were, 7 a.m. in the morning, and the local bagel guy and the pizza guy and the new sales rep, and then the other groups which were, $10,000 a year, but the same 12 people. And I was like, you know what? I'm really tired of these kinds of groups. Let me try to start my own group. And I always like the idea of small facilitated networking. And so I called a couple of clients of mine, an attorney and an accountant. And, I said, guys, here's what I want to do. 12 to 15 people, business owners and decision makers only. So there's no sales reps, no office managers, no HR, no marketing people from a company. Exclusive by industry for the meeting, no fees. You get to talk 3 or 4 minutes about who you are, what you do, who's a good lead, who's a good referral, companies you're trying to get into. And I said, so go back to your Rolodexes, and everybody I spoke to knew what a Rolodex was. And
today they wouldn't.
Right, exactly. And I said, give me 3 or 4 names of people that get it with networking and think might want to become part of this. And I built it to about 200 people, Long Island based, meeting at Capitol Grill Wednesdays and Fridays. And then the pandemic hit. And I said, all right, well, we got to turn this into a Zoom group, obviously. And people started saying, hey, listen, I know somebody in Chicago, Florida, California, whatever. They're business owners, attorneys, accountants, bankers, business owners. Yeah, sure. Why not? Well, we are now over 330 people in the group, 330 companies in the group. I am in 26 or 27 states, 5 countries. And the group has done over $14 million of business that I'm aware of, and that was a while ago. And that doesn't count a company that was formed from the group. I introduced 2 people to each other. They were 2 very successful business owners. One had an idea, and the other guy was the perfect match for him. They formed a brand new company. 3 weeks ago, he turned down $40 million for his company.
Nice.
And
you getting a piece of that?
And I wish I got a piece of that. But he's buying a lot of life insurance from me, so I can't complain.
There you go.
And we've raised over $1.2 million for nonprofits.
That's fantastic, Jeff. You do such a great job. I want to take a little break now. When we come back, let's talk about the nonprofits that you work with.
Sure.
Hey there. I just want to tell you a little bit about my new book that just came out called Mastering Your Financial Life Cycles. And here it is. It's how to successfully manage your money in every decade of life. I co-authored this with my CFO, Liz Levy. And together we created this manual that's going to help you through every stage of life. We talk about having a baby. We talk about young adulthood, pre-retirement, what to do when you're at that age of retirement. If you're contemplating divorce, do you need an estate plan? We cover all of these, each subject in a different chapter. And I really think that you're going to find this so helpful because at the end of every chapter, we have checklists that you can look at and you can use, and they can be a guide for you. So this is a wonderful manual that we've created. It's available on Amazon. You can also find it on our website at judithheft.com/book. And we're here for you. If you need anything, reach out. I hope you enjoy the book. Here's another picture of it, just so you know what's going on. Here it is. And I'm really proud of it. It's my second book. And I'd love to have you read it and give me your feedback. Judy Heft, judithheft.com, financial and lifestyle concierge, celebrating 26 years in business. And over the years, I've learned so much. And what I've been trying to do is impart a little bit of this knowledge to you so I can help all of you become as financially organized as I am. And we're back with Jeff. So we started to talk a little bit about nonprofits. How'd you get involved raising money for the nonprofits? I know you do a lot of that work, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, so I've always done, I've been raising money for nonprofits pretty much since I was in high school. I was the fundraising coordinator for Nassau County Special Olympics, volunteer job years ago. And I've always done some fundraising. But what happened is 5 years ago, my daughter, who is a stage 4 Hodgkin's cancer survivor, one of my clients actually who knows me and knows my daughter said to me, listen, I'm involved with this Leukemia Lymphoma Foundation and your daughter's a survivor. They have this competition that I think you would just kill it in. and because he knows I'm competitive, and I love competitions and stuff, and I love fundraising. And I said, okay. So I spoke with the people at Leukemia Lymphoma, and I said, all right, so what is this competition? They said it's pretty simple: 4 businessmen, 4 businesswomen, 10 weeks, raise the most money.
A challenge.
So, cool. Sounds good. So I sent out an email to my group, and this is kind of like my group, the way the people in the group are with the give versus get mentality. I said, guys, we got to form a committee. We got to raise some money. Who wants to join me on the committee? And I got about 25 people who said, yeah, we'll join your committee. So I had to come up with a team name. So I did. It was called 5 and Alive, because my daughter was 5 years cancer free at the time. And they said, well, I said to them, how much would you, what's kind of the minimum? And they were like $50,000. I was like, all right, look, I know enough bankers and CPA firms and attorney firms. Yeah, I can do $50,000. Not a problem. So I told my committee, guys, we got to raise $50,000. They're like, nah. They're like, we know how competitive you are. You know how competitive all of us are. Call them back and ask them what's the record. And so I did. And I said, so what's the record in the 20-year history of the event? They said, record is $167,000. So I said, okay. I went back to my committee. And I said, guys, listen, I came up with some ideas for some events. Anybody else have any ideas for events? I said, I want to do events very cheaply, but I want to do all fun events. I don't want boring, kind of events. So we ended up doing a motorcycle ride, a barbecue, a casino night, a cocktail party, and an event at a place called Pole Position, which was basically go-kart racing for adults. So, and all the events, because of 5 and Live, were $55. And then sponsorships were $550. And then I came up with the idea of, all right, what if I do a big sponsorship? Let me do $5,500, because I didn't know anybody who's going to write a check for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 kind of number. So $5,500. So when I approached like Capital One and some of the banks and the Rifkin Rathers and the big law firms, and I said, what do you get for $5,500 when you give it to American Heart or one of the big charities? They said, well, we get a table at the event and a banner and seats and blah, blah. I said, okay, how about this? We will give you 5 sponsorships, a table at every event, a commercial at every event. And because every event that we did, we got everything donated. 100% of everything was donated. All the costs were donated. We'll give you 60 tickets, and take the tickets however you want to take the tickets, and use them however you want. So we did 5 events in 10 weeks, and we raised, and the committee said, all right, so 167 is the record. Yeah, that's easy. Let's just do $200,000. And we did $219,000.
Oh, that's wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you. And then we had so much fun doing it that I bought the domain name. And now we've raised over $1.2 million for nonprofits. And what it does, and as long as it's local, like one of the guys in the group, Paul Cronin, he posted a thing on a rock wall about his daughter who teaches at the school in Virginia, and they needed help with books. So I said, do me a favor, Paul, send the post to my networking email address. And I sent it out to the group. And I said, guys, we got to buy books for this class. Well, within a few hours, he emailed me and he said, okay, you don't have to do anything more. Your group bought every book for the entire classroom.
Wow, I have chills hearing that story, Jeff. That's so cool. What a wonderful thing.
And that's what we do, is we help charities that the couple of $100 we did for Habitat for Humanity, Suffolk County. They come to the lunch, because what I do now with the lunches is every week we pick a different charity. And we ask people if they're in a position to do it, to donate the $35 they would have paid to Capital Grill for lunch to the charity of the week. So every week we pick a different charity and we raise money. Well, Habitat for Humanity Suffolk County came on and they said, we have these different fundraisers. I said, what do you have on the smaller side? They said, well, we have a build for the day. I said, all right, what's a build for the day? They said, it's $2,500. I said, okay, so if I get 10 people in the group to each throw in $250, that's good? He goes, yeah, that works. We have now done 3.
Oh, that's excellent. That's so great.
So we've raised probably, close to $10,000 for Habitat for Humanity. We're gonna do a build, and I painted a house, which I got newfound respect for painters. Painting the inside of a house is a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
Because it was with paintbrushes and
I know.
And it was not, spray it on, done in 20 minutes. Like we got there at 8:30 and I left at 3:00 and I was exhausted.
Oh yeah, I did a little bit of that in my youth. And when you get up to the ceiling and then, okay, let's just paint the ceiling because we made a mess. Yeah, it's not fun.
But that's what we do is the group does a ton of business together, but helps out charities wherever we can.
That's great. That's wonderful. So Jeff, how can people find you? What's the best way to reach you?
Best way to reach me is my cell phone, of course, 516-316-1255. But you can always reach me at jeff@hkmassociates.com. That's jeff@hkmassociates.com. If you have a business, especially in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, 2 to 100 employees, we have some ideas that can save you tens of thousands of dollars that we've worked with a lot of our clients. And most of our clients, as I said, are in the 2 to 100 employee space. We can do larger, and that's pretty much it.
That's great, Jeff. Thank you so much. Thanks for being a guest. And I'm assuming they can find you on LinkedIn too.
Yes, absolutely. You can find me on LinkedIn as well.
There might be a few Jeff Weiners there, but they'll find you.
Yeah. Put Jeff Weiner, HKM Associates. I'm pretty well connected out there. So I think I come in second behind the CEO of LinkedIn.
Oh, he's got the same name.
Yeah, he's Jeff Weiner. Yeah, so I usually come in third because there's the CEO of LinkedIn is Jeff Weiner, the CEO of Markham is Jeff Weiner, and then so I usually come up third, which is pretty good in those two guys' companies.
Exactly. Yeah, it's good company to be in. Well, thank you so much. I want to come back to your networking group again. It's been a while, and I met some good people there. So yeah, whenever you have a chance. So thank you. Thanks for being my guest, and I look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Yeah, this was awesome. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and talk about my business.
It's my pleasure.
Okay.
You've been listening to Mastering Your Financial Life, hosted by Judy Heft. Thank you for your positive reviews, comments, and sharing this show with others. You can read chapters of Judy's books and catch prior episodes of Mastering Your Financial Life at www.judithheft.com.